My dear friends, what I'm about to share with you today may challenge everything you've been told about aging by the medical establishment, and I want you to know that this isn't coming from a place of disrespect for our healthcare professionals, but from a deep concern that well-meaning doctors are unknowingly perpetuating myths about aging that are robbing millions of seniors of their vitality, hope, and quality of life. After 30 years of researching longevity and interviewing hundreds of the world's healthiest older adults, I've discovered a troubling pattern. The conventional medical wisdom about aging that most doctors learned in medical school decades ago is not only outdated, it's actively harmful to your well-being. Now, before you think I'm suggesting you ignore your doctor's advice, let me be crystal clear. I'm not advocating that you abandon medical care, but rather that you become an informed partner in your healthcare decisions, armed with the latest scientific evidence that many physicians simply haven't had time to study or incorporate into their practice. The truth is, medical schools still teach aging as a process of inevitable decline, a one-way journey toward frailty and disease. When the latest research from Harvard, Stanford, and the National Institute on Aging reveals something dramatically different, that many of the changes we've attributed to normal aging are actually the result of lifestyle factors, societal expectations, and medical practices that can be modified, reversed, or prevented entirely. Let me share with you what I call the 5 great lies about aging that even well-intentioned doctors continue to perpetuate, along with the scientific proof that these beliefs are not only wrong, but dangerous to your health and happiness. The first lie, and perhaps the most damaging one, is the belief that significant physical and mental decline after age 65 is inevitable and irreversible. I cannot tell you how many patients have told me their doctors dismissed their concerns about memory, energy, or mobility with phrases like, "Well, you're getting older," or "That's just part of aging," or "You need to accept your limitations." This casual dismissal of treatable conditions as normal aging represents one of the greatest medical tragedies of our time, because cutting-edge research consistently shows that the human body and brain retain remarkable capacity for renewal, adaptation, and improvement well into the hundreds. Dr. William Evans at Harvard Medical School has proven that adults in their 80s and 90s can increase muscle mass and strength by 30 to 40% in just 8 weeks of appropriate resistance training, results that would be impressive in people half their age. Meanwhile, Dr. Arthur Kramer's groundbreaking neuroplasticity research at the University of Illinois demonstrates that older adults can actually grow new brain cells, improve memory, and enhance cognitive function through targeted mental and physical activities, completely contradicting the old belief that brain decline is inevitable and irreversible. Yet despite this overwhelming scientific evidence, most doctors continue to treat aging as a disease to be managed rather than a process that can be optimized, leaving millions of seniors accepting limitations that are entirely unnecessary and often completely reversible. The second lie that's causing tremendous harm is the notion that older adults should take it easy and avoid challenging physical or mental activities for fear of injury or overexertion. This well-meaning but misguided advice has created what researchers call the disuse syndrome, where perfectly capable older adults gradually lose strength, flexibility, balance, and cognitive sharpness not because of aging itself, but because they've been convinced to stop challenging themselves physically and mentally. Dr. Maria Fiatarone-Singh's revolutionary research at Tufts University followed nursing home residents in their 80s and 90s who were told by their doctors and families to rest and avoid strenuous activity. When Dr. Singh introduced high-intensity resistance training to these supposedly frail elderly individuals, the results were nothing short of miraculous. Participants not only regained lost muscle mass and strength, but many who had been using walkers began walking independently again. Those who had been largely bedridden returned to active lives, and several who had been considered cognitively impaired showed dramatic improvements in mental clarity and memory. The truth that many doctors don't realize is that the human body, regardless of age, follows a simple principle: use it or lose it, but also, remarkably, use it and improve it. The third devastating lie is the belief that depression, loneliness, and loss of purpose are natural and unavoidable aspects of aging that should simply be accepted or medicated rather than actively addressed through lifestyle interventions. How many of you have been told by healthcare providers that feeling sad, isolated, or purposeless is just normal for people your age, especially after retirement or the loss of a spouse? This dismissive attitude ignores mountains of research showing that depression in older adults is no more normal than depression in younger people, and that the most effective treatments often have nothing to do with medication and everything to do with restoring meaning, connection, and contribution to one's life. Dr. George Valen's landmark Harvard study of adult development, which has followed the same individuals for over 80 years, definitively proves that people who maintain strong relationships, pursue meaningful activities, and continue contributing to their communities not only live longer, but report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction in their 80s and 90s than many people experience in their 30s and 40s. Yet despite this overwhelming scientific evidence, most doctors continue to treat aging as a disease to be managed rather than a process that can be optimized, leaving millions of seniors accepting limitations that are entirely unnecessary and often completely reversible. The fourth lie that's robbing seniors of their vitality is the myth that significant memory loss, confusion, and cognitive decline are inevitable parts of aging that cannot be prevented or improved. This fear-based messaging has created a generation of older adults who panic at every forgotten name or misplaced key, convinced they're on an irreversible slide toward dementia, when the reality is that normal age-related memory changes are minimal, often reversible, and completely different from pathological conditions like Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Denise Park's groundbreaking research at the Center for Vital Longevity at the University of Texas has proven that older adults who engage in cognitively challenging activities, learning new languages, mastering complex hobbies, solving puzzles, or acquiring new skills, not only maintain their cognitive abilities, but often improve them significantly, showing better memory, attention, and processing speed than sedentary peers decades younger. Furthermore, Dr. Kirk Erickson's research at the University of Pittsburgh demonstrates that regular physical activity actually increases the size of the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory formation in older adults, effectively reversing age-related brain shrinkage that was once thought to be irreversible. Yet despite this overwhelming scientific evidence, most healthcare providers continue to treat memory concerns with resignation, inadvertently creating self-fulfilling prophecies of decline. The fifth and perhaps most insidious lie is the belief that older adults are fragile beings who need to be protected from stress, challenge, and difficult experiences, rather than supported in facing them with resilience and growth. This patronizing attitude, often disguised as kindness and concern, systematically undermines the confidence, independence, and sense of capability that are essential for healthy aging. When doctors, family members, and society at large treat older adults as if they're made of glass, constantly warning them about what they can't or shouldn't do, the result is what psychologists call learned helplessness, where perfectly capable individuals begin to see themselves as weak, vulnerable, and dependent. Dr. Ellen Langer's famous Harvard research, known as the counterclockwise study, provides stunning proof of how destructive this protective mindset can be and how transformative it is when older adults are encouraged to see themselves as capable and resilient. In her study, men in their 70s and 80s who were treated as if they were 20 years younger, expected to carry their own bags, make their own decisions, and take responsibility for their own care, showed remarkable improvements in vision, hearing, memory, strength, and even physical appearance within just 1 week, improvements that persisted long after the study ended. The men who were treated in the typical protective manner showed no such improvements, and in some cases, actually declined during the same period. This research reveals a profound truth that most healthcare providers don't understand. Older adults don't need protection from life's challenges. They need support in meeting those challenges with confidence, dignity, and the full expectation that they are capable of growth, adaptation, and resilience regardless of their age. Now, you might be wondering why well-meaning doctors continue to perpetuate these harmful myths when the scientific evidence clearly contradicts them. The answer is both simple and concerning. Medical education has not paced pace with longevity research. Most physicians receive minimal training in geriatric medicine, and the medical system itself is structured around treating disease rather than promoting optimal aging. The average doctor spends less than 15 minutes with each patient, barely enough time to address immediate health concerns,
let alone discuss the lifestyle factors, mindset shifts, and social connections that research shows are far more important for healthy aging than most medical interventions. Medical schools still teach aging using textbooks and concepts that are decades out of date, presenting aging as a process of inevitable decline rather than a stage of life with its own unique opportunities for growth, contribution, and fulfillment. This educational gap means that even the most caring and competent physicians may unknowingly discourage their older patients from pursuing activities, goals, and lifestyle changes that could dramatically improve their quality of life and longevity. Let me share with you the story of Robert, a 78-year-old retired accountant who came to one of my seminars feeling defeated and hopeless. Robert's doctor had told him that his declining energy, occasional memory lapses, and decreasing muscle strength were normal for his age, and that he should accept his limitations and take it easy. Robert had followed this advice for 3 years, gradually becoming more sedentary, more isolated, and more convinced that his best
days were behind him. His wife was worried about his increasing depression and withdrawal from activities he had once enjoyed. But Robert insisted that he was just getting old and that there was nothing he could do about it. During my presentation, Robert learned about the research showing that strength training could reverse muscle loss, that challenging mental activities could improve cognitive function, and that social engagement could dramatically improve mood and life satisfaction in older adults. Initially skeptical, Robert decided to conduct what he called his own scientific experiment. He began a carefully designed exercise program, joined a volunteer organization where he helped other seniors with their tax preparation, and enrolled in a community college computer class to learn skills he had avoided for years. Within 6 months, Robert had regained strength he hadn't felt in a decade. His memory had improved to the point where he was outperforming people half his age in his computer class, and his depression had lifted completely as he rediscovered his sense of purpose and capability. When Robert returned to his doctor for his annual checkup, the physician was amazed by the improvements in his blood pressure, cholesterol levels, cognitive function, and overall vitality. However, instead of asking what Robert had done to achieve these remarkable changes and potentially sharing this information with other patients, the doctor simply noted the improvements in Robert's chart and moved on to the next patient. This response illustrates perfectly how the medical system's focus on treating disease rather than promoting wellness causes even obvious success stories to be overlooked rather than studied and replicated. Robert's experience is not unique. I've documented hundreds of similar cases where older adults have achieved dramatic improvements in health, vitality, and quality of life by rejecting the limiting beliefs they were taught by well-meaning healthcare providers and embracing the scientifically proven principles of optimal aging. The truth that the medical establishment has been slow to acknowledge is that aging is not a disease to be treated, but a process to be optimized, not a decline to be managed, but a journey to be maximized, and not a limitation to be accepted, but a challenge to be met with wisdom, determination, and the full expectation of continued growth and contribution. The research is absolutely clear on this point. Older adults who reject ageist assumptions about their capabilities, who continue to challenge themselves physically and mentally, who maintain strong social connections and sense of purpose, and who approach aging as an adventure rather than a surrender, consistently outperform their peers on every measure of health, happiness, and longevity. These individuals are not genetic anomalies or exceptionally lucky. They are ordinary people who have learned to think differently about aging and to act on that knowledge with courage and consistency. Dr. Becca Levy's groundbreaking research at Yale University provides perhaps the most compelling evidence of how damaging medical ageism can be and how transformative a different approach can be. Her studies show that older adults with positive views of aging live an average of 7.5 years longer than those with negative views, show better memory function, have stronger immune systems, and are significantly less likely to develop dementia. Most remarkably, her research demonstrates that these benefits occur regardless of baseline health status, income level, education, or access to medical care, proving that mindset and expectations about aging are more powerful predictors of healthy longevity than most traditional medical factors. Yet, despite this overwhelming evidence, the medical system continues to approach aging with outdated assumptions that actually accelerate the very decline they claim to be treating. So what can you do with this information? How can you protect yourself from well-meaning but harmful medical ageism while still receiving appropriate health care? The key is to become what I call an informed advocate for your own optimal aging, someone who partners with healthcare providers rather than passively accepting their limitations-based advice. This means educating yourself about the latest research on healthy aging, asking specific questions about lifestyle interventions before accepting medications for conditions that might respond to non-pharmaceutical approaches, and insisting that your healthcare providers treat you as a whole person with the potential for continued growth and improvement, rather than as a collection of age-related problems to be managed. When a doctor tells you that a symptom or concern is just part of aging, ask them specifically what evidence supports that claim and what lifestyle interventions might address the underlying cause. When you're advised to take it easy or act your age, ask for specific research showing that challenging activities are harmful for someone in your condition. When depression, memory concerns, or physical limitations are dismissed as normal for your age, request referrals to specialists who understand that these conditions often respond better to lifestyle interventions than to medications alone. Most importantly, remember that you have the right to seek second opinions, to research your conditions independently, and to pursue treatments and lifestyle changes that align with the latest scientific evidence, even if your current healthcare provider isn't familiar or comfortable recommending them. The goal isn't to become adversarial with your medical team, but to ensure that your care is based on current science rather than outdated assumptions about what's possible for someone your age. As we conclude our time together today, I want you to understand that recognizing medical ageism isn't about losing trust in healthcare providers, but about becoming a more informed and empowered partner in your own care. The doctors who perpetuate harmful myths about aging aren't villains. They're products of a system that has been slow to incorporate revolutionary discoveries about human potential and the plasticity of the aging process. By educating yourself about the latest research, questioning age-based limitations, and insisting on care that treats you as someone with continued potential for growth and improvement, you're not only improving your own health outcomes, but helping to transform the medical system's approach to aging for future generations. The proof that doctors have been wrong about aging is overwhelming and undeniable. Older adults can build muscle, improve memory, overcome depression, develop new skills, form new relationships, and pursue new goals, and experience levels of vitality and life satisfaction that would have been considered impossible just decades ago. The only question remaining is whether you'll accept the limiting beliefs of an outdated medical paradigm or embrace the limitless possibilities revealed by cutting-edge research on optimal aging. Your choice will determine not just how long you live, but how fully you live, not just how you age, but how magnificently you can thrive in every decade ahead. The lies about aging stop here, today, with you, and the truth about your incredible potential begins now.